Welcome to the incredible journey of one of the most widespread language families in the world, the Indo-European family. From the heart of ancient civilizations to modern-day global influence, we'll trace the fascinating evolution of English, one of its most prominent branches. Get ready to dive into a tale of invasions, cultures, and transformations that shaped the way we communicate today. Main content. This is the Indo-European language family. It stretches from northern India all the way to Western Europe. Almost half of the global population speaks an Indo-European language, and that includes you and me. English is an Indo-European language, specifically part of the Germanic branch, along with languages like German, Dutch, and Swedish. In the early 5th century, the Romans, who had ruled over England for over 400 years, withdrew their hold over the island. Filling this vacuum, a number of Germanic tribes from Denmark and northern Germany ventured onto the island and gradually replaced the Celtic and Romano-British cultures that had been dominant in the area. Celtic speakers became concentrated in Wales, Scotland, and Cornwall, while the area we now know as England became culturally Germanic. The Germanic peoples in Britain, while originating from several distinct tribes, eventually developed a common cultural identity as Anglo Saxons. And with these Anglo Saxons, our story truly begins. Old English. The Anglo Saxons, in their many kingdoms, spoke a language we now call Old English. Old English sounds nothing like our modern language and is largely incomprehensible to us today. Here's an example from the epic poem Beowulf. Wait, we gardena in geardagum, theotsyninga, thrymgefrunon, huda ethelingas ellen fremedon. I assume you understood none of that. Not to worry, no modern English speaker would. Old English has evolved so much that it may as well be a foreign language. However, half of our most commonly used words come from this Anglo-Saxon tongue words like water, child, ear, talk, and thee. Most short, simple words in English today have their roots in Old English. Old English was not a static language. No language ever is. But most of the major changes to English through its history came not from within, but from outside influences. The first major influx of change came with the Viking invasions of the 8th century onward. Norsemen from Norway and Denmark invaded northern England and even established a kingdom called the Danelaw. These Vikings spoke Old Norse, the ancestor of modern Scandinavian languages. Their influence added vocabulary like sky, bag, law, hit, and even they. Middle English. In 1066, William the Bastard, later known as William the Conqueror, invaded England with his Norman army and successfully conquered it at the Battle of Hastings. The Normans, now the ruling class of England, spoke a dialect of Old French. This Norman French became the language of the royal court, while Old English continued as the language of the peasantry. Over time, the two languages merged, creating what we now call Middle English. If you've ever wondered why English, a Germanic language, has so many cognates with Romance languages like Spanish or French, this is why. A staggering 30%, around 10,000 of English words, are of French origin, particularly in law, religion, and science. This French connection also explains why English has so many synonyms. For instance, animal names like pig, cow, and chicken are Anglo Saxon, while their corresponding meats, pork, beef, and poultry are Norman French. Despite these changes, Middle English is still largely incomprehensible to modern speakers. Here's an example from Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. One that April with his shower suit, the draught of March hath pursed to the root, and bathed every vein in switch liquor, of which virtue engendered is the flower. Early Modern English. In the 15th century, the great vowel shift began, transforming English pronunciation in dramatic ways. Long vowels like oo shortened into diphthongs like o. Consonants like the K in knife became silent. While pronunciation changed, spelling often did not, making English spelling notoriously difficult. By the 16th century, English evolved into what we call early modern English. A prime example of this era is Shakespeare's work. Two households, both alike in dignity. In fair Verona, where we lay our scene. While understandable, Shakespeare's word choice and phrasing still feel quite different from modern English. Modern English. Beginning in the 16th century, British exploration and empire building spread English across the globe. At its height, the British Empire covered a quarter of the earth, influencing the language significantly. The Industrial Revolution also introduced new vocabulary for technology and science. American English, in particular, became influential due to American pop culture. Interestingly, the standard American accent is closer to Shakespearean English than most modern British accents. Today, English continues to evolve. New words are added to dictionaries yearly, while others fall out of use. Grammar rules are shifting, and in a few hundred years, our language might sound as foreign to future speakers as Chaucer does to us. From ancient Germanic tribes to global dominance, the story of English is one of resilience and adaptation. It's a language shaped by invasions, cultures, and creativity, constantly evolving with the times. Who knows how English will transform in the future? One thing's certain, the journey is far from over. Thank you for joining us on this linguistic adventure.